The Super Bowl is supposed to be the biggest spectacle in American sports, but it seems to be losing its appeal among younger viewers. According to Nielsen data, the Super Bowl ratings among Americans between 18 and 49 have fallen dramatically over the past 10 years, from a peak of 40.5 in 2012 to a low of 26.5 in 2021. That's a drop of nearly 35% in a decade. What explains this decline? One possible reason is that the American media landscape has become more fragmented and diverse, giving younger audiences more choices and alternatives to watch. The rise of streaming services, social media platforms, and niche content has reduced the need for a shared cultural event like the Super Bowl. Younger viewers may also have different tastes and preferences than older generations, and may not be as interested in football or the halftime show as they once were. Another possible reason is that the Super Bowl itself has become less thrilling and exciting for casual fans. The quality of the games, the matchups, and the narratives may not have been as compelling or unpredictable as in the past. For example, the 2021 Super Bowl was a blowout victory for Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. With a final score of 31, the game was never close or competitive, and many viewers may have tuned out early or switched to something else. The halftime show by The Weeknd also received mixed reviews, and some viewers may have found it boring or confusing. The Super Bowl ratings decline among younger viewers is a worrying trend for the NFL and its broadcast partners, who rely on advertising revenue from this event. The Super Bowl is still the most watched program on television, but it is not as dominant or influential as it used to be. The NFL and its partners will have to find ways to attract and retain younger viewers, who are the future of their business. They will have to adapt to the changing media environment and consumer behavior, and offer more engaging and diverse content that appeals to this demographic. The NFL is a league of parity, where teams can rise and fall quickly from one season to the next. In 2020, some of the most successful teams in the league were the Packers, Seahawks, and Saints, who all won their divisions and reached the playoffs. However, these teams also face some challenges and weaknesses that could make them decline, and let's take a look at some of the factors that could affect their performance this season. First, there is the phenomenon of regression to the mean, which means that teams that perform exceptionally well or poorly in one season tend to return to their average level in the next season. This is especially true for teams that win a lot of close games, which are often decided by luck or random factors. For example, the Packers went 13-3 in 2020, but they had a point differential of only plus 66, which suggests they were not as dominant as their record indicated. They also won 8 games by 1 score or less, which is hard to sustain over time. The Seahawks and Saints also had a lot of close wins, with 7 and 6 respectively. These teams could see their luck run out in 2021 and lose more games than they did last year. Second, there is the issue of aging stars, who are more likely to decline or get injured as they get older. The Packers, Seahawks, and Saints all have elite quarterbacks who are over 35 years old. Aaron Rodgers, 37, Russell Wilson, 32, and Drew Brees, 42. While these players have shown remarkable durability and consistency over their careers, they are not immune to father time. Rodgers has already dealt with some injuries in recent years. Wilson was sacked a league-high 47 times in 2020, and Brees missed 4 games with broken ribs and a punctured lung. If any of these quarterbacks miss significant time or play at a lower level in 2021, their teams will suffer greatly. Third, there is the factor of roster turnover, which means that teams lose or gain players through free agency, trades, or the draft. The NFL is a salary cap league, which means that teams have a limited amount of money to spend on their players. This forces them to make tough decisions on who to keep and who to let go every year. The Packers, Seahawks, and Saints all had to deal with some key departures this offseason. The Packers lost All-Pro center Corey Linsley and running back Jamal Williams to free agency. The Seahawks lost cornerback Shaquille Griffin and running back Carlos Hyde to free agency, and traded defensive end Carlos Dunlap. The Saints lost several starters to free agency or retirement, including wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders, tight end Jared Cook, defensive end Trey Hendrickson, and linebacker Quan Alexander. These players were important contributors to their team's success in 2020 and will be hard to replace. And finally, there is the factor of tougher schedules, which means that teams have to face more difficult opponents based on their previous season's performance. The NFL uses a rotating schedule formula that ensures that every team plays every other team at least once every 4 years. However, the formula also gives each team 2 games against opponents from their own conference that finished in the same position in their divisions as they did in the previous season. This means that the division winners from 2020 have to face each other, and for example, the Packers have to play the Buccaneers, who beat them in the NFC Championship game, the Seahawks have to play the Rams, who beat them in the wildcard round, and the Saints have to play the Packers, who beat them in Week 3. These games will be tough tests for these teams and could affect their playoff seeding or chances. In conclusion, the Packers, Seahawks, and Saints were some of the NFL's most successful teams in 2020, but they also faced some factors that could make them decline, and these factors include regression to the mean, aging stars, roster turnover, and tougher schedules. While these teams still have talented rosters and coaches that could overcome these challenges, they will have to work harder and smarter than ever before to repeat or improve their results from last year.